Have you ever felt that whisper in your soul calling you to something more, but all the things spinning around in your mind have kept you stuck? Well, what if I told you that choosing excellence could be both easier and more adventurous than you could ever imagine? I am Chelsea DeBruin-Colbert, your host of All Things Excellence. I'm a soul catalyst for excellence who leapt off that corporate cliff and left small-town Iowa farm life in my 20s to follow my calling, helping women come home to themselves by anchoring into who they're designed to be. I create sacred containers where women rediscover their truth, design their dream life, and transform those whispers into action. Now you can find me running my business from the soccer sidelines as a coach's wife, hiking my favorite Arizona mountain, or back in Iowa with my family, or on an adventure chasing my next sunrise, hot cup of coffee and journal in hand. Through intimate conversations about the stories, the traumas, and the transformations behind choosing excellence, we're creating a collective healing journey together. I believe in diving deep into personality designs, experimenting boldly, and learning life's greatest lessons through our beautiful chaos. Every week, my guests and I are going to rip down the curtains so you can see behind the scenes of real transformation as we explore what excellence actually looks like. Not just the highlight reel, but that messy middle where the magic happens. Whether you're seeking inspiration to take that leap or already on your journey and craving connection, this is your invitation to join us. So grab your coffee, settle in, and get ready to discover just how close you are to the life your soul is calling you to create. This is All Things Excellence. Hey, All Things Excellence fam, come along with me today on a little journey about my mental and emotional processing. So podcasting is super weird. It's actually been 3 weeks since I have recorded a single episode. I had recorded a bunch of episodes in a 2-week period to prepare for going on vacation with my family. And what I love is that over these past 6 weeks, I've really been asking myself, what am I being pulled to? What am I being pulled to? And so today I'm going to talk to y'all about embracing the both and in business and life. When God, universe, whatever works best for you, when you're feeling pulled into not something else, but something in addition to. So over these last 6 weeks, I've been feeling pulled to something, really honestly feeling pulled back to, but in a completely different way. And in true me fashion, I have been fighting it like crazy. I've fought where God is calling me to say no. I've fought the doors that God's calling me to close. I've been fighting him on the places that he's asking me to return to. And specifically these new levels that he's been calling me to grow, like these areas that he's been calling me to grow, because to go back to certain parts of my previous life means the only way to go there with who I am now, with how I've grown and how I've shifted and how I've embraced my true energetic pattern of life means that I have to elevate certain parts of me to be able to go there and do it really, really well. And so I am pretty known in my life for having this. My lifestyle is like very surge and stage mode, right? Where I'm just kicking butt, taking names, doing all the things, achieving huge, speaking from all the stages, or I'm in this recluse mode where nobody knows what I'm up to. I'm not really talking to anybody, and I embrace just this absolute rhythm of whatever life is bringing me to. And so it's the surge and stage mode versus the recluse mode is also, I mean, you can see it in my Enneagram, where it's like maybe I'm, in that Enneagram 5 and I'm more researching, recalibrating, I'm resting. You could say maybe it's my wing 9 coming out and developing. But the crazy thing is when you are a clarity coach, when for a living, you work with people to get really clear on What do they really want? Where do they really want to go? And sometimes it's in the small things, like tiny decisions that they need to make in their life this week to move forward. And they just need a sounding board, right? Like I have a lot of clients that just pay me for a 30-minute session to have a sounding board. So someone's there affirming back to them what they're saying isn't crazy, what they're wanting to do isn't crazy. And then sometimes it's bigger decisions, right? Where we're working together more like 60 days or 6 months, or, I have a client that I've been working with now for about a year, and moving them into the next season of their life. And so when you have all of these tools, now the fun thing is that you get to use them on yourself. And I'm pretty much constantly using these tools on myself. And then I have a few people in my life that I go to then to talk through what I've discovered with my own tools. So one of the things right now, the area that I'm being most pulled back to is to grow and to build something that, if I'm really honest with myself, I just haven't done in a decade. I 16 years ago felt God absolutely, believe it or not, I don't really care if you do. I know that I was sitting in my cubicle at my corporate job, and God so clearly spoke to my soul that I needed to go follow this direct sales path that I'd watched my mom do all my life. For at that point, I was 24 years old, and I'd watched her do that all my life. And I was like, "Yeah, dude, absolutely not doing that." And he's like, "You are," and I was like, "I don't think so." And he's like, "Yes, like you need to go there to be an influence." And at the time, this was 2009. So when you think about that, there was Facebook, there was no Instagram, but there absolutely was not the role of an influencer didn't exist. Or honestly, back then, I actually used to love shopping and doing that. That was before I wore the same clothes every single day. Um, I could have seen myself doing that. And so that's just where he called me to be an influence. And what I can tell you guys is it was the greatest thing that ever happened to my life, because I came out of the womb so addicted to excellence, loving excellence. I have one grandma that's already passed away, and then my other grandma, both of my grandmas, I grew up a couple miles from each of them, dead in the center. And both of them were absolutely incubators of excellence for me. I think they saw, I see this with my mom and her grandkids, with my brother's kids now, where parents are in this mode where they're just working like crazy to provide and carpool. And the grandparents' role, hopefully, is that they get to come alongside those grandkids and impart the wisdom. My dear friend Chris, who y'all will get to meet next week on the Enneagram 8 episode, she had said that to me several years back about how she sees that now, that the parents' role is provision and kind of like a taxi driver, right? Like, let's be real. But the grandparents' role is then to be able to come alongside and be intentional and impart that wisdom. And that's exactly who both of my grandmas were for me. I'm so grateful for them, because I was never too much for them. And they always had all of the time and the patience in the world to mold this huge desire to win and achieve and be excellent that I was born with. And so when I felt called into going into direct sales, 50% of me was like, I don't even wear makeup. Like, I wear mascara on a good day, and you're calling me to work in a skincare makeup company? Like, this is insane. And then 50% of me was like, I mean, hey man, the money's excellent and it's a good track to run on. I just graduated from college a year prior. I was really missing my sorority sisters, and I thought, why not? Like, it's a good friends club. It's a great place to win. It's a great place to achieve. And it's a great place to make a lot of money. And in 2009, the economy was crashing. A little bit more intense, the economy was a little bit more intense than it is right now. But the vibe was very similar on, if you hate your job, which I did, and I was praying every day, like, Lord, direct me somewhere else. What do you do? And so it was that season. It was a season where I was on my knees, not every morning, but nonstop, all day, every day, just praying, like, God, direct me somewhere else, because where I am stuck in this cubicle is absolutely not where I'm meant to be. At the time, I also was seeing a career therapist. Her name was Michelle, still one of my favorite therapists to date. And, she had said to me when I was getting ready to graduate college, my parents had hired her as a career coach to help me realize what do I really want in life and what career is going to be best for me in that. I absolutely did not listen to any of her advice. I went and got a job where I did my internship, and I went back and dated my college boyfriend. Both of things that she said I'm like really suggesting that you don't do this. And so in very true human design 3-6 fashion, I was like, I got to learn the mistakes myself. I went and did both of them, and both of them absolutely crashed and burned in the most wild and crazy way within a couple of weeks of each other. And so being pulled into this place where I was so adamant that I would never ever go was very interesting. And honestly it really did take me probably 18 months to get over the emotional hump of being pulled into something that I would never have wanted in the first place. But once I did, I had wild success, tons of fun, made great income, and for several years was the sole income provider for my husband and I, even living in North Dallas, which is not cheap if you know anything about that. And so this past week, I have had, this past week, I've kind of gotten to this point where I'm almost surrendering. I'm just like, okay, God, I've been fighting you for 6 weeks on this area that you're pulling me back to. So now I'm going to go to my two friends that know me the best over the last 15 years. And the first conversation that I had with my friend Susan was we talked about the nervous system. And I said, I feel like my nervous system is freaking out about the idea of me allowing myself to return to this place that, let me be so clear, anywhere can be so good because all things are created with good intentions. But anything that involves people can also be not so good because at the end of the day, people are people. And no matter where we go in life, we've got to hold the good in one hand and the bad in the other. Like polarity always exists. Where there is good, there's got to be bad. Where there is light, there's got to be dark. Like that's just how the world works. Kobe and I were even talking about that the other day. And to ignore the fact that not everything is good, that there are bad, is just ignorance. I will tell you, it was in my John Townsend leadership program where they made me entertain this as far as my parents. Like made me get really grounded in reality of like all the things that were good and all the things that weren't so good, and looking at both of those equally with both of my parents. And so sitting with my friend Susan and saying, I don't feel like it's my subconscious mind. I feel like it's my body. Like my body is having this, what are we doing and why are we doing this? Like we've really detached ourselves from this. Like it's a part of our business. Like, yes, we have it. The income is good. But to really throw ourselves back in and win and achieve there, we haven't done that in a decade. Literally, why would we be doing that? We have this beautiful podcast that we're building. We have an incredible coaching business that's helping women. Like, why would we be doing this? And Susan and I got to talking about this. I said, are you experiencing any of this? And you can follow her on social media, Susan Kimmel, and go to Instagram. And she has a really great series on dating. She is currently in that like midlife zone where divorced a few years back and back into that dating world, which please God, never let me have to go back to that dating world after watching her go through it. But she said so many of her dating coaches that she listens to on social media and on podcasts talk about how when you re-enter into that, how your nervous system responds, right? We ignite that fight, flight, freeze, which I am always most familiar with freezing. I don't fight, I don't run. I usually just freeze and then I do nothing in all areas of my life. And so we talked through, what about going back and scooping this back up and adding this into my life as the both and? What about that is setting off my nervous system? The next friend that I talked to, and we're actually, the three of us are friends, was my friend Ange. And I said, I have felt God pulling me back to this for 6 weeks. And is it going to destroy my brand? Now, do I care what people think? I absolutely don't. But do I care about not confusing my listeners, my followers, everybody? Do I care about people being very clear about what I'm doing and not being confused and wondering? Because a lot of times people look at things like that. Like I always look at people who company hop, job hop, whether you're in the corporate world or you're in like the network marketing space, people that are company hopping all over the place. it makes I'm unable to trust them because I cling to stable and safe and secure. Like I am a wild tornado, and the last thing that I need is someone in my life that is all over the place. And so I constantly cling to stability and security. And so I also want to provide that for my clients, my listeners, my remaining team members that I also have in direct sales from everything that I built, right? That because that's the beauty of direct sales is the work that I did 16 years ago is absolutely still paying me today. I have not been all in the last decade. I haven't done very many appointments in the last decade, but I absolutely have had an income that has been the primary income providing for my family. And when I talk to Ange about like, oh my gosh, why? Just literally why is God calling me back? Not to just hang out, which I've been doing, but he's like calling me back to go in and go big. And she said how she just felt that he was calling me back to create better and increased habits of winning and excellence. And when she said that, she's this person that, we're each other's friend where we don't necessarily talk every day. Months could go by, maybe, maybe months could go by where we don't have like long conversations more than a text exchange here and there. But when we need each other, we always have exactly what the other one needs. And my mom would tell you that. I said to my mom, I'm like, okay, I threw in the towel. I text Ange. This is what she said, that it's really for that. It's for that sake. And she said, to embrace the fact that sometimes we have to go over and pick something up in order to get to the next place that we're going. So what I found was these three things. These are the three areas that I'm really exploring right now. First of all, I'm going to talk to you guys about the questions that I'm asking myself. Second, I'm going to talk to you about the areas that I'm being called to say no. And third, I'm going to talk to you about the areas that I'm being called to grow. So the questions that I'm asking myself, the areas I'm being called to say no, and the areas that I am being called to grow. So first, these are the questions right now that I'm asking myself, not even on a daily basis, y'all. Like I have them on my phone and I'm periodically glancing at them through the day. The first one is, what do I really want? What do I really want? And this comes out of my alignment edit exercise that I work through with my clients, where we explore the 8 areas of life. We explore how do they really want their life to look like weekly and daily in general? Like what would their most ideal life be? What would their most ideal life feel like in these 8 different areas? And so asking myself, what do I really want? Second, do I want their path or do I just want their lifestyle and energy? I have a coach that asked me this a few months ago. And she asked me a few months ago, but now it's where it's really coming in big. Do I want their path or do I just want their lifestyle and energy? So oftentimes we look at people and we go, I want that. Like that's what I want. Like what do I want? I want that. But her question was, do you want their path? Or do you just want their lifestyle and their energy? And if it's the lifestyle and energy, how do you create that within the containers that you've been called to work in? 3, how could integrating this back into my life enhance my podcast and coaching? I'm asking that. How could integrating direct sales with a focus and goals, and not just like, oh yeah, that's that thing that I've got assistants that I pay to manage and take care of and I dip into it like 10 hours a week. How could integrating this back into my life with a focus and an intention enhance my podcast and my coaching? 4, why was I called to release this only to pick it back up? Why have I been called to release it only to pick it back up? 5, what version of picking this back up could feel nourishing, aligned, and true to my soul today? What version of picking this back up could feel nourishing, aligned, and true to my soul today? I think any of these questions are great for anybody in any season, right? But this one right here, if you've ever had something that you felt like God clearly laid you to call it down. And now it's like he keeps trickling it and bringing it back in, almost like it keeps knocking at the front door. And you're looking at it through the Ring camera going, I've already told you no so many times. I don't know why you're here. Why are you back? Like, no soliciting sign on the door, sir. I don't need your pest control. I have pest control. I am fine. I am complete. Why is this knocking? And the last question, number 6. If I wasn't worried about confusing my audience, what bold and true message would I share today? And y'all, I spend a significant amount of time, probably an annoying amount of time to Caroline, my assistant, my podcast assistant, uh, an annoying amount of time writing out every single episode. Never ever do I just get on, hit record, and just speak. Whatever to people that do that. But for me, I feel such a weight and a responsibility to the message I feel like I'm supposed to be sharing with you at that exact time. And so I always sit on my patio and I spend hours. This one definitely took days. And when I wrote this out in my notes, if I wasn't worried about confusing my audience, what bold and true message would I share today? The message that came to me was, go get what God has for you. People are going to talk crap anyways, so you might as well run to the arena He's calling you to, or spend the rest of your life wondering what could have been if you did. Go get what God has for you. People are going to talk crap anyways, so you might as well run to the arena He's calling you into, or spend the rest of your life wondering what if you did. I also want y'all to not be weirdos. I was like, oh, I hope they don't get weird and be like, oh my gosh, is she going to turn this into like a network marketing podcast? Like, literally never, ever, ever, never. And I think this has been the most interesting thing is because even when I was wildly successful in it, I was never wildly successful at everybody should buy lipstick and like this is how you sell a lipstick. I I was really always the leader that was, so I've talked about this before in here how from like K through 6 I was extremely bullied. And lots of therapy and growth later, what I realized about that was that it really came down to really insecure moms. And really insecure moms raise really catty, gossipy, insecure girls. And I felt like God had called me to this direct sales space to be in the field with the average woman who doesn't even know that she needs this growth to help her step into the most confident version of herself, and then in turn raise wildly confident, secure children, which impacts the world so differently. The second section, areas I'm being called to say no. I have been in the helper role in all of my life, and all of my life in my personal life and my business, and all of my life I have been the person that fills in the gaps for everyone. When I was thinking about this and writing this, I thought, for gosh sakes, like my brothers don't even have their own Netflix accounts. I am the epitome of every reel or post that talks about the oldest daughter. I am the oldest daughter. I am the oldest granddaughter on both sides. Like I was the first girl to come along and be born on both sides in my generation. And I have carried that I got y'all since the day I came out of the womb. And when we were on family vacation, and I was doing it all as I always do, it brought up a lot after my family left, between Kobe and I, my husband, because we had to have a really serious conversation about how I show up for my family, running myself so hard to take care of them, and then being so empty and depleted when they leave, is also the exact way that I ran my business before as a leader. Which is so hard to have that conversation with your husband, right? It's so hard to face that about yourself. It's so hard to face that with your husband and go, no wonder I just took the last 10 years taking a nap. And, love coaching and podcasting, which is a lot more removed than being a leadership mentor with a team. And so the area right now that I feel God calling me to grow is to release this identity as a business babysitter as my leadership style. And I feel like He's calling my Enneagram 8 to elevate from this, I will carry you, I've got you, I'm bottomless for you, which has always been my biggest flex, to I will now empower you to carry you. And so I think that's part of my dragging my feet, right? Like earlier in the beginning, I said, I'm fighting areas that he's calling me to grow, levels, places he's calling me to, like level up in my leadership. And it is that, like, what is that? Who am I even if I am not bottomless for everyone that I love? Like, what does my leadership style even look like? And so with that, the final thing that I did was that I have created a new affirmation. So if you are a subscriber, you get my monthly full moon journaling prompts. It's a fun thing that started with my friend Susan and I years ago. And so from that, I wrote a new affirmation to recite this next month, and I will have it everywhere. I have it on a Post-it note right now in my morning journal time, but by the end of the day, I will have it typed out and printed out and hung everywhere. It's on my phone. It's on, on all the devices, right? And so the affirmation statement that I wrote for myself for this season that I'm stepping into is, I release the belief that I must choose between purpose and provision. I trust myself to lead in a way that honors my vision, nourishes my nervous system, and supports the evolution of my purpose. I call in the people, the platforms, and the prosperity that will support my next chapter. I am available for aligned opportunities that allow me to grow, to lead, and to serve from a place of truth and trust. I choose to rise with integrity, visibility, and unwavering devotion to the work that lights me up. So as I close out this episode is all about reflecting, y'all. It's all about listening to it over and over again, pausing it when I'm reciting those questions, asking yourself those questions, asking yourself what you really want, asking yourself if you want their path or if you really just want their lifestyle and their energy, asking yourself, what have you previously laid down that you're being called to pick up? Asking yourself, how could integrating this new thing into your life enhance the things that you already have? Asking yourself, are you being called to a season of the both and, where it's not either or, this or that, but this and that, embracing the both and. If you are being called to that season and you are feeling uncertainty, of course, I'm always here for you. We can have a 30-minute clarity call where we just quickly get to the bottom of it, or you can even go so far as signing up for my alignment edit program, where we really explore, what do you want most? You and I running together for the next 60 days and getting you deeply integrated for the next 6 months, because we have a few days left in the month of June. And then next thing we know, we are finishing out the last 6 months of 2025. And I just encourage you today to really ask yourself, get grounded. I would say get so grounded in reality as to the goals that you set at the beginning of 2025. Where are you at with those? Are you on track with some of them? Do some of them need to be released completely? Or do some of them just need to have tiny little pivots? And what does that look like? It's something I want you to ask yourself. I want you to readjust your goals for the end of 2025. Maybe you need to blow them up a lot bigger because God's already blowing your mind as to what you thought was going to happen this year. Or maybe you need to adjust them completely. Like, I can tell you that I'm now having to put goals and visions in front of me that I didn't even know were on my bingo card for 2025. And if you don't want to do that alone, I would love to do that with you inside of my alignment edit. So head over to chelseadbc.com, where you and I can figure out what's best to work together in this season. I hope you enjoy these questions. I love hearing from you. So don't hesitate to run over to Instagram and let me know how this episode hit for you today and what came up when you started asking yourself these questions. Thank you, All Things Excellence fam, for joining me today, coming along with me on my mental and emotional processing journey. I always appreciate you. And we will be back this Friday with our Enneagram 7 episode as we start to wrap up what has been a beautiful series that has been helping so many of you. Thank y'all, All Things Excellence fam. Talk to you next time. Thanks for listening to All Things Excellence. If something landed with you today, I'd love for you to follow the show, share it with a friend, or leave a quick review. It helps more women find these transformational conversations. And if you're ready for support with your next step, or needing someone to stand in the gap with you to figure out what that even is, I'd love to create that space for you, and my intro clarity call is a great place to start because life is too quick and too full to have to figure it out alone. Until next time, All Things Excellence fam, thank you for listening.